Well, this is Austere August, so some of us are shaving with the same stuff over and over. And I'm using a Nacet blade from Gillette. It's got 6 shaves on it. It's only the 5th of August, but I'm going to put another shave on it here. I started out with 2 shaves on it before the month started, so that's why there's a number difference. I'm using Williams shaving soap, Williams mug shaving soap, and it's doing well. And we're gonna, this is a box of a new puck that I haven't used. I graded another puck into this little bowl here from Walmart, and about a 4-inch diameter bowl. And so today's experiment is I'm just going to pour a bunch of water in there and we're just going to bloom it. I haven't been doing that yet, so we're just trying something different. My plan is to then just pour all the bloom water off and then just start lathering it with a damp brush. So let's make this brush damp. This is a Boar knot from Whipped Dog. I think it's going to end up to be kind of a low backbone type knot. For any of you who might be interested in those type. High backbones or mid to high seems to be the trend these days, but that's not really what I like. Now this may end up to be a little more loose than I prefer, but that's what we're using for this month because I wanted to put a bunch of uses on it because it's kind of a new knot for me. This is a Shave Forge handle. So I am going to soak my boar in a little jar here. You can just kind of get it wet and set it aside if you want, but I like soaking it. Here is the razor we've been using all of August, a Dart from Blackland razors. It's a pretty new one. And then here's that Nacet blade. It's got 6 shaves on it. When we get to 10 or 11, that's when I get into new territory. I haven't put that many shaves on a single blade yet. Most of my shaving career in terms of premium, nicer blades and stuff than what you might just get at a pharmacy or Walmart has been in with this huge blade assortment that I bought. So now we've got the blade mounted in, and gonna put another use on it tonight. I'm going to use this to add water to the lather, and there we go. I'm going to get some other stuff ready. I'm going to pause you. So let's see, what are we looking at? Probably just 2 minutes now that soap has been soaking. I'm going to let it bloom for a few more minutes. Maybe by the time I get everything ready, it will be ready as well. Okay, I believe we're looking at about a 5-minute soak now. Maybe 6. Let's just try that. Okay, so I'm going to get my face wet. I'm going to do that twice. That 2 times is my pre-shave routine, basically. Once before I start making the lather, and then once right before I shave. One of these days I'll probably bring in like a glycerin soap or something like that to use as a pre-shave. Alright, so now I'm going to dump out the bloom water, and we're going to lather for 45 seconds. It turns 0 right there, so maybe we'll go to 46. I shook out the brush of all the water. What happened last time, I got a good lather, got a good quantity of lather, but the problem was that I wanted a little bit more kind of creaminess and luxury from the lather, and I could tell right in the beginning when I started mixing, it was very airy. Not very airy, it was a little bit more airy than I liked. I'm probably going to stir up tons of, we'll just stop at 45 there. Just grab up all the stuff. The scent has started to reduce since I've been using it. First 2 shaves is a little bit strong to my preferences. And now we're going to start mixing this up a little bit. But anyway, I was putting a teaspoon of water on top of the dry puck before I started loading. And I think that water right away is what caused it to kind of foam up quickly with a foam that was just lighter than I wanted. By the time I was done mixing the lather, though, it was it was protective, it was super slick as usual. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do, I'm still going to just add the 2 teaspoons of water like I have been for the last couple of days. But I'm just going to add it kind of in small quantities to maybe not stir up that airiness. And we'll see what happens. Because I have had nice creamy lathers before. It just took a little too long to oh yeah, see, I think this is better than what I was getting before. So I think maybe the blooming just helped me to wet the soap without adding too much water right away. We'll just see what this works out to be. It's not super creamy right now. If you have the old stock Williams, it's got more tallow in it. And so it was a little easier to get that up all creamy and stuff. Just kind of gradually keep adding water. Could be this brush too. You know, this is a Boar brush, and it's not as dense as like a Badger brush, and so it's possible that this brush is adding more air into the mixture than another brush might. So it's a pretty firm lather at this point, but it's looking good for where it is right now. Let's try just kind of stirring a little bit less vigorously. See what happens. I may not be able to help it. My muscles may switch into muscle memory mode. Now, you know, I may stop at less than 2 teaspoons of water if the lather looks like it's ready. It's not very dense right now. It's probably shaveable, but there's a speed option on YouTube where you can speed this up. You don't have to watch it real time. Change it to 1.5, something like that. Look at all that. Do a little finger test right quick. Yeah, it's too airy. Interesting. Maybe just too wet. You know what I mean? Too wet too quickly. Maybe the downfall of this soap. So if I add more water, that's not going to be a good thing. So here's what I want to do. Because it's just airy. It'll just thin it out even more. So what I'm going to do is go to the puck. For just a little bit like that. See what happens. Oh, I got a hair. Brush hair. See if it gets a little denser, creamier. All right, knowing that we've added some more soap, let's go ahead and add a little bit more water. Yeah, it's looking a little denser now. Definitely going to have plenty of lather for the event. So it looks like the problem is if you add water too quickly, then it foams up, and then it's just too difficult to remove those bubbles. Now, who knows? Maybe a badger brush, something with a little more density than this Boar, maybe it is what's needed to not introduce quite so many bubbles. Just guessing. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. All right, let's, yeah, see, that's definitely better. Got a little bit of cushion now. Slickness is great. You know, let's just shave with that. So I wanted to try the blooming aspect because that is definitely the way some people have used, probably, you know, millions. I mean, it could really be a million people have used this soap over the decades. And that could be what they do. They have it more in a mug, instead of like a loading bowl, and they just kind of get going with it. Maybe they pour off the bloom water, pour off the thin stuff, and now what they're left with is something thick. And maybe that's what's necessary, and that's okay. I'm just trying different things to see if I can figure out the quickest way to get to the best lather. All right. Just see how it feels. Brush feels great. Kind of a motley looking lather. Maybe it, densed up a little bit on my face once I started working it. I don't know, we'll see. I mean, it could be this lather doesn't look great, but it works really well. You never know. Dart with a Nacet blade, and we're going to hit it now for the 7th time. If you have a dart and it's a little too rough for you, bring your handle angle in toward your face a little bit more. And for whatever reason, it works to, some razors you do that and they get more aggressive or irritating. But this one seems to have the opposite effect. It turns it more manageable. And it really reduces the irritation that I feel. Maybe your skin is different, and that's okay. But for me, that was the technique. Otherwise, I probably would have had to return the razor. Just bring that in. And I can, before I brought the angle in and kind of figured that out, I was dreading the 3rd pass on my neck. Cheeks were probably okay, but on my neck, oh, I was dreading it. It was so rough. Yeah, just rinsing away some nice slickness on my face. It's got a good feel, protecting me well. Now let's take the old brush. I didn't even dip it back in the lather. This is what was on there. I just decided to see what it would do. I think it got more dense on my face. Looks like I'm not going to need to grab any more lather from the bowl. There we go. How about that? What a weird lather. All right, there we go. Very good. Second pass, I'm keeping that handle nice and close, listening and feeling if it starts to get kind of irritating or take too much bite. I just bring the handle in more. Some people might call this riding the bar or riding the safety bar, because we are putting just a little bit more emphasis and pressure on the safety bar instead of the top cap. Meaning, here's the safety bar down below, here's the top cap up here. When both right near the blade edge, when this and this are touching on both sides of the blade with equal pressure, then that's right in that sweet spot, and that's often where a razor is going to cut the best. Because it's anyway. But when you ride the safety bar, you're putting a little bit less pressure on the top cap up here, putting a little bit more on the safety bar, and in effect, I think that's lifting the blade up out of the maximum bite zone. And I've had cases where, on the third pass especially, I'm not cutting. That's because my handle's in too close. Well, no big deal, because I can just raise that handle out just a little bit until I feel it starting to catch. And there we go. And I've been able to shave without any irritation most days. And even on the days that I had a little bit of irritation, it was a very minuscule amount, and it was pretty much instantly taken care of with the with any good aftershave balm. Rinse. So I think we're, I don't know, 8, 9 shaves with this brush, and here it's just about holding enough lather to do the whole shave. So that's a pretty cool thing about this particular razor. All right. So what I may do next time, because this thing kind of aired up and didn't go back down, third pass here. What I may do next time is, instead of the bloom option, kind of go back to what I have been doing and just slowly add the water, see what happens. This seems to be kind of a more dry lather. So let's change that a little bit. Just dripping a few drips of water on my brush here. And I bet we'll see the lather kind of change. If some people I see just put a few drops, but that usually doesn't affect my shaves as much. I'll have to put a lot more. Yeah, see, that's a lot creamier. That's better. Very interesting. That's a hot cream. That's a nice, this is where I wanted to be. This is a luxurious creamy lather right here. But if I want to find a better way to get here, than having to go back to the tub and all that. Maybe it just takes a longer load. Who knows? That's why we're changing one variable each time to see if we can land in the right spot. Sometimes it takes a while to hit the jackpot. And like I said one time in my comments of a video or a Shave the Day post, all these lathers have been good and they've given me great shaves. But what I'm looking for is that best lather, that one that makes you go, holy cow, I didn't know Williams could do that. Cheeks really get shaved well no matter what I do, so I don't mind going back to the with the grain pass for them. Interesting. Now maybe what happened was, you know, I didn't finish putting enough water in my lather bowl when I went back to the soap bowl to get more soap, and I brought that back to the lather bowl. I didn't add enough water to it to kind of activate and involve that soap. And so then when I put it on my face, bam, it turned all, and then I added the water, then it turned all slick and good, all that kind of thing. So it's interesting. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to need to do my neck pass as usual with this combo blade and razor. They're doing really well. I have a little bit of irritation, but it's very minor. I'm going to get it finished with a full rinse here. I'm going to pause you. All right, very nice results. And for you ladies out there, Afta Fresh. It's kind of a feminine scent to my nose. Unfortunately, that's what I decided to use for this month. I got to stick with it. And I knew that it was kind of going to smell like that, but you know, I said, let's just have a growing experience this month. Number one, I can just test out the product. And so far it's been working well. It's kind of a gel, kind of a mix between a gel and a lotion. And it has been calming down the minor irritations that I've had and hydrating my skin pretty well, so I'm happy with it. I might try the original at some point because it's just a few bucks. There we go. Great shave. Happy with the results. Nice close DFS kind of shave. I can't go against the grain on my neck, so I never get baby butt basically. You know, I had 2 loads. Here's that airy stuff up here, but then there's that thick stuff on the brush. The airy stuff, I mean, it's serviceable, but it's not that great. It's not luxurious, let's say that. It'll still get you nice and slick, but where I want to land is that luxurious stuff. So maybe what I'm going to try is, I don't really know where I'm going to head after this, because I don't know how I got to this nice creamy stuff that I just shaved with on that 3rd pass. I don't know. I'm going to pause you and I'm going to think about it. Alright, I believe what I'm going to do is take an approach of adding the water more slowly, but probably still loading for a minute. Go back to a minute instead of 45 seconds. Add the water a little bit more slowly instead of just dumping half a teaspoon in there. I may even start for a little while grinding on the soap with the moist bristles that I don't have any water added. Maybe I can start to stir up the rich part of the soap. I don't know, we'll see. And then what I may think about doing is backing off and stopping at the 2 teaspoon, stopping before I get to the 2 teaspoon mark to have a little bit less water in the soap. And we'll try that, see what happens. Man, that was a good lather right at the end. I wonder if this, you know, a lot of people do the whole pour off thing. So I don't know. We'll keep trying. Because I've done it before, it just took a while. And I wanted to try to find a short and simple method. I am noticing right now that the scent of the soap is no longer bothersome. I think maybe after the 3rd time, the scent had dissipated enough to where it had gotten weaker, and because the soap sits out all day and has a chance to give away that scent. By the time I get to shave with it, it's nice, and so I'm really happy about that. So if you're dealing with a fresh puck, it's got a little bit of a strong scent, but give it a few shaves and don't cap it up, and I think you'll be rewarded with it's like a clean, soapy kind of scent. There's some bar of soap out there that kind of has this scent as well, and I think that's what makes me think of it as just a good, clean, soapy, traditional, classic scent. So here's how the brush is looking after I stropped it on the towel and kind of dried it off. So I just kind of spread it around a little bit, mainly to promote airflow so that it dries since I'm using it every day. If you want to, for maximum happiness, it's nice to alternate between 2 brushes or 3 or whatever, so that they dry each every day, and so deep inside you don't have any mold build up or anything, mildew, any kind of thing like that. But I'm giving you a shot of it so that we can watch it grow during the month. It should do that. All right, for those of you who just wanted to take a look at the products, we're done with the shave. Why don't we give you a quick razor tour, and then I want to talk a little bit about which direction I want to head. I did some thinking. So here's this gorgeous handle by Blackland razors. It's an American-made company. They keep everything in America. They do. The work is done in a couple different states. You know, they find somebody to do certain pieces or certain types of work. You know, it's not all done totally by one guy. So this is the machined finish or matte finish, and one nice thing about it is it wears well, because you're not going to notice scuffs and scratches as much as if you had the polished version. You've got great grip because micro edging and stuff, because it's not polished. There are it's like a fine grit sandpaper that you don't even feel unless you're feeling for it. It feels very smooth. But what that does is it tiny grips on your skin. And so even if your hands are wet and soapy, you're not going to drop. This razor is my view. And so that's great. And I like the flared handle here. I don't like it quite as much in terms of the look. At least I didn't at first. It's growing on me. But for practicality, it's so great to hold this as I'm doing a pass in the bottom corners of my neck, if I'm doing something that way. It's just perfect. Very ergonomic. This is the base plate. You can see the machining marks, and that's part of the nature of this razor. It's not a fault. By not polishing those away, by not polishing up the top cap here to a mirror finish, they're saving us money. And that's why this is at the price point it is. And at the top of the base plate, you can maybe see a few of the machining marks. See if I can do, there's just a couple right there. And I think it gives character to the razor. Some more machining marks underneath the top cap here. These guys right here are magic. They keep the blade aligned perfectly all the time, every time. Works great. Everything's stainless steel. Fits together just like a rock. Now the top cap is the only thing that kind of bothers me just a hair. Because I mean, I agree that, you know, let's keep machining marks on there, that's fine, but it ends up to have the effect of looking to me like maybe a aluminum tubing or something like that, because that's kind of the sheen that the aluminum tubing has. But the good news is you can take this razor and buff it up and shine it and polish it, and you can actually turn it into a polished version if you want to do that. Right? And so you could easily shine this guy up. But he's kind of growing on me anyway. So we'll see. We'll see. He has a 30-day return policy, and so it's a great one to, you know, try out, check it out, and just return it back. No questions asked. If it's not your style. If it's too aggressive for you, remember, bring the angle in. And so there's the razor tour. There's that top cap. Side there. The side does pretty much cover up the edges of the razor blade. To me, it's really a non-issue. It's a nice looking, sleek razor. The Blackland Dart, a little bit less aggressive than its older brother, the Blackbird. So I'm really happy with the craftsmanship here. There aren't really any sharp edges. There are abrupt edges here and here. Actually, this one's gone now. Maybe I rubbed it away. But they're not the kind that can cut you. The top cap here, I don't think, this has edges on the corners. You'd have to work really hard to cut yourself on that. I mean, grind away really hard. The corners of the top cap are very precision engineered. This is not a danger here. It's not sharp enough to cut you. But these corners, there's enough of a little, I mean, it's precision. You know, they didn't go around with a buffer and buff everything down. And so if you pressed hard enough and did like that, you could probably cut yourself. But it would take effort and it would take purpose to do that. So normal handling of the razor, no problem at all. Great finish. I really like it. I really like it. All right, so there's your razor tour. So if that's all you wanted, you're done. I want to talk just a second about my chart. These are some of the notable formulations that I put together. The one I did yesterday was 45 seconds of loading, and in the beginning I put in half a teaspoon of water for that whole 45 seconds. It had the advantage of having that water in there. I was hoping that would allow it to develop that thick slurry, but what ended up happening yesterday was similar to today. It just got airy too quickly. And so then during the course of the shave to the lather, I ended up adding a total of 2 teaspoons of water. And I stopped there, and then what I ended up with was a lather that was good, protective, gave me a good shave. It just wasn't creamy and luxurious. Okay, so I thought, what if then today's entries right here is going to be, I bloomed it for 6 minutes. It didn't really change as much as I wanted it to. It still pretty much did this same result, even being bloomed. So the blooming had the same effect of putting the half a teaspoon of water on the soap. And I mean, you know, I was hoping it would soften it more, but maybe I need to bloom it longer. That's one option. That's one way I could go. But instead, I think I'm going to switch back away from blooming for now, and I'm going to do go back to a minute loading, but I'm going to add water slowly. Instead of dumping the half a teaspoon in there from the beginning. Just maybe even start, and this is the big difference, maybe even start with that moist brush on the soap only. Not even add any water on it and to see if that brush can stir up that thick, rich soap mixture. And then gradually add water so that it never gets to that airy point. It's my theory. It's what I feel like trying next time, I think. And we'll see how that goes. All right, thanks for bearing with me. And we'll see you next time. Take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Hope there was something here good for you that helped you out. Have a good night.